Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y analysis video. Today's video is going to be all about the new fossil Pokemon, Tyrantrum. So let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Tyrantrum is a Rock Dragon type Pokemon introduced in a Generation 6, and in my opinion has one of the coolest designs as far as 6th generation Pokemon are concerned. But as for its abilities, the first one that it gets is known as Strong Jaw, which is an ability that increases the power of all biting moves by 50%. So for example, if you are a Tyrantrum going for Crunch, Crunch typically has 80 base power, but with Strong Jaw that will be boosted by 50%, bringing it up to 120 base power, which will definitely allow Tyrantrum to do some significantly more damage with all of the biting type attacks that it learns, and give it some really fantastic coverage, as along with Crunch, it does learn Fire Fang and Poison Fang and a lot of really awesome fangs that will give it a lot of different ways to hit a ton of Pokemon super effectively for even more damage than they typically would be hit by these biting moves, which is really cool. But as far as its second ability is concerned, it is known as Rock Head, which is an ability that eliminates all recoil you would take from a move that would typically have recoil, which in Tyrantrum's case will more often than not be Head Smash. Now, unfortunately, this ability is currently unreleased. However, it may be in the future, so on all the sets that I have for you in these videos, I do list Head Smash occasionally in places where it does make sense to use it, and I will explain the advantages and disadvantages of using that, as well as whichever ability you have to go with. But for right now, you do have to go with Strong Jaw. But as for the stats, it has base 82 HP and 119 defense, which means that this Pokemon is very capable of taking physical attacks extremely well. However, its special defense is only base 59, so it does fall short a little bit in that area. However, if you would like to EV it a bit in special defense, you could definitely do that to allow it to take special attacks a lot better than it normally would, which is important, because obviously you do want this Pokemon in a defensive set to be able to take hits well from both the physical and special sides. But as far as its own attacking stats are concerned, it has base 121 physical attack, which is absolutely monstrous, allowing Tyrantrum to do a ton of damage with all of its physical attacks that it learns. However, its special attack is only base 69, meaning that it's not going to be able to do too much damage from the special side. It also doesn't learn a ton of special moves anyway, so you really wouldn't have much type coverage to go on even if you were to run a special set. But as far as its speed is concerned, the last stat that I'm going to be talking about, it is only base 71, which is about average in terms of speed tiers. However, Tyrantrum does have two ways of boosting its speed in the form of Dragon Dance and Rock Polish, so you can potentially effectively run a speedy offensive set on this Pokemon through the use of a boosting attack such as the two I just mentioned, or even a Choice Scarf if you choose to do so, as it is pretty quick with a Choice Scarf, even though it's not going to be super fast like many other Choice Scarf pokes you potentially could run into. So for this first set, we're going to start by giving Tyrantrum a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack, and for the ability, we can go with either of them. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its physical attack, 4 into its special defense, and then 252 EVs into its speed to give it its max physical attack and speed possible with the Jolly Nature. And for the item, there are 4 possible options. We could go with a Choice Scarf to boost our speed by 1 stage while locking us into a move, a Choice Band to boost our physical attack by 1 stage while locking us into a move, Expert Belt to allow us the freedom of using all of our attacks and getting a nice power boost on all the attacks that we hit our opponents with for super effective damage, or a Life Orb to flat out increase our attacks power, or the power of all of our attacks, while also having that 10% recoil that we take every single time we do go for a move. Now keep in mind that Rockhead does not eliminate Life Orb recoil, for those of you that are curious. But as far as the moves are concerned, the first thing that we're going to be going with is going to be our main Dragon type stab, which is going to be Dragon Claw. Unfortunately, Tyrantrum does not learn Outrage, but Dragon Claw will suffice for the most part, as it will allow it to do some really solid Dragon type damage. But for its secondary stab, we're either going to be going with Head Smash or Stone Edge on this set. Head Smash obviously is the much stronger alternative and will have no recoil on a set with the Rock Head ability. However, with the Strong Jaw ability, Head Smash will have recoil, but either way, it's still more powerful, so you might as well just run this move anyway. But if you don't like the idea of recoil, you could obviously run Stone Edge as a more reliable attack that will not slowly kill you as you use it. However, keep in mind that both of these attacks have the same accuracy, so you're not really losing out anyway in terms of hitting your opponent. But as far as your next attack is concerned, we're going to be going with either Fire Fang or Crunch, depending on the type of coverage you want. Obviously, Fire Fang is very good against the plethora of bug steel types that are around, especially like Scissor and was it Fortress, as well as Fairthorn being 4 times weak to fire moves, as well as Skarmory as well, because that'll obviously take super effective damage from Fire Fang, whereas none of your other attacks will hit it super effectively. But his Crunch is also really great for type coverage as well, and this will obviously be your main biting move on this set that will be potentially boosted in power by Strong Jaw if you choose to go with that ability. However, Head Smash is also an option. Also, for those of you that are curious as to why I'm not running Poison Fang for fairy types, Stone Edge does the same amount of damage as a super effective Poison Fang, and Head Smash just does more damage than a super effective Poison Fang anyway, so there's no reason to ever run that move on Tyrantrum, just to throw that out there. But as far as your last move is going to be concerned on the set, we are going to run Earthquake to round it all off and give us some really fantastic type coverage all around, while also having either boosted speed through a Choice Scarf, boosted power through the other 3 items. So overall, this set is just really fantastic for allowing Tyrantrum to just do some really strong damage flat out and giving it a lot of different type coverage through all the different moves we're running on this set. Up next, we have a boosting set for Tyrantrum, so we're going to start by giving it an Adamant Nature to increase its physical attack and lower its special attack, or a Jolly Nature to increase its speed and lower its special attack. And for the ability, again, we can go with either of them. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its physical attack, 4 into its special defense, and 252 EVs into its speed, just like the last set, to give us our max physical attack and speed possible. And for the item, we're either going to go with a Life Orb to increase the damage of all of our attacks, or a Lumberry to potentially heal off any statuses that we may acquire with this Tyrantrum, and I'm specifically looking at Prankster users that are able to obviously burn us in the case of Sableye or something like that, or even like a Prankster Paralyzer like Liepard or Klefki. Lumberry will definitely come in handy to allow us to effectively still be able to sweep after we are potentially statused by anything. But as far as our boosting moves are concerned, as I mentioned before in the first slide, or I guess second slide, we're going to go with either Dragon Dance to boost our physical attack by 1 stage and our speed by 1 stage, or Rock Polish to boost our speed by 2 stages. So really, it's whichever one you want to go with. Rock Polish has a more immediate effect, as you will essentially be faster than pretty much everything after a Rock Polish. But with Dragon Dance, you also get the power boost, but may require a little bit more speed and may need 2 Dragon Dances to get up in order to outspeed a plenty of Scarfed users that you probably will run into, as Tyrantrum is fairly slow in itself. So it's really whichever one you think is more necessary. Dragon Dance gives you more power but takes longer to be faster, whereas Rock Polish just makes you faster flat out, which is always really good. But as far as the moves are going to be concerned for attacking purposes, again, we're going to be going with Dragon Claw or Head Smash or Stone Edge, depending on whichever one we want to go with. And it's really up to you which move you go for. Personally, I think Rockhead works much better on this set because Dragon Claw, Head Smash, and then our third move, Earthquake, pretty much covers the majority of Pokemon you're going to be running into. But if you would like some added type coverage, and obviously a boost from Strong Jaw if you are using that, Fire Fang and Crunch are boosted both by Strong Jaw and allow you to do more damage with both of these attacks. Or with a Rockhead ability, you could also just use those for coverage as well, depending on the types of things you want to hit super effectively. So really, there's a ton of options, at least in this last boost slot, but overall this set will turn Tyrantrum into a very speedy and powerful boosting attacker that is very capable of sweeping teams if you get the opportunity to set up. Up next, we have a more defensive boosting set for you today. So we're going to start this off by giving Tyrantrum a Careful Nature to increase its special defense and lower its special attack. And for the ability, we can go with either. This set is actually intended to be used with the Rockhead ability, but obviously you can still use it with the Strong Jaw ability. It really doesn't matter, but Rockhead is the preferred option. But as far as the EVs are concerned, this time we're going to max our HP with 252 EVs into that, put 4 EVs into our physical attack, and then max our special defense with 252 EVs into that. And for the item, we're going to be going with Leftovers to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But as far as the moves are concerned, the first one we're going to be going with is our boosting move for this set, which is going to come in the form of Curse, which will be boosting our physical attack and defense by 1 stage, while also lowering our speed. Now, Tyrantrum isn't too fast to begin with, so Curse really isn't that big of a deal for this Pokemon, as it is typically pretty slow. But for our main Dragon type move on this set, we can either go with Dragon Claw or Dragon Tail, especially because we are lowering our speed, so the negative priority from Dragon Tail really doesn't matter at all, because we're just going to be slow as dirt anyway. So using Dragon Tail effectively will allow us to phase out opponents, which could also rack up some more entry hazard damage if you have those set up on the field. However, Dragon Claw is obviously the option to go with. It's a little bit stronger than Dragon Tail, and obviously does not have the negative priority, which honestly, in my opinion, doesn't really matter anyway. So really is whichever one you feel like is most necessary to run. Then we're going to be going with Head Smash or Stone Edge again as our main rock type move, and as I said, this is where running the Rock Head ability would come most in handy, because obviously Head Smash is the much stronger alternative, and because this is a more defensive set, we don't really want to be losing HP through the use of Head Smash. So if you are using Strong Jaw, because we have to right now, Stone Edge is definitely the way to go. And then for the last move slot, we could either go with Earthquake to give us some more type coverage overall, or if you would like to go with a more defensive option, we could go with Substitute to allow Tyrantrum to get behind a protective barrier and take its attacks a lot better, as well as be immune to statuses while the sub is up, and allow us to effectively curse behind the sub a lot easier and set up to sweep our opponent's team, hopefully. So overall, this set is just the more bulky version. Obviously, maxing its special defense will allow it to take special attacks very well, and because of its natural physical defense and physical attack, Curse will just augment both of those significantly, allowing Tyrantrum to become a very bulky and powerful attacker through the use of this set. Up next, I have a more mono-attacking version of the previous set, which works really well once you are able to get your opponent's fairy types out of the way. So we're going to start with the same nature and EV spread as last time with the Careful Nature, and 252 HP EVs, 4 attack EVs, and 252 special defense EVs, along with the leftovers item to recover a little bit of HP. But as far as the moves are concerned this time, again, we're going to be running Curse to boost our physical attack and physical defense while lowering our speed, and then the only attacking move we're going to use on this set is going to be Dragon Tail as a way to phase out our opponents while we are cursing. Now this is meant to be used in combination with both Rest and Sleep Talk to give you some really fantastic recovery, obviously making you completely heal up any statuses you've received as well, and essentially just Sleep Talk, Dragon Tails, and Curses while you are resting to basically turn Tyrantrum into a very bulky and annoying Pokemon that will never die because of Rest, healing your HP up all the way. Now, obviously, any of the abilities work for this set because we're using no moves that are affected by either of its abilities. So obviously, this set can be easily used right now because you can just use Strong Jaw as nothing is affected by it on this set. But as I said, you do have to get Fairy types out of the way because they are immune to your Dragon Tail. But once that is accomplished, you could effectively just Dragon Tail the crap out of your opponent's team and never die in the process, or at least that's the plan. This set obviously works extremely well with entry hazard support, as you will obviously be racking up more damage every single time you Dragon Tail. So this set can be very annoying to be used on a team based around entry hazard use, though that is a little bit harder to accomplish nowadays due to defog allowing us to get rid of entry hazards. But either way, this set is just a really good way to run a mono attacking set with Tyrantrum that will shuffle opponents around effectively while boosting and keeping its health up for a long time. And lastly, I have a defensive set for Tyrantrum to run, which is something that it actually does really effectively along with the really great offensive sets that it can run. So it's kind of a dual purpose Pokemon, as it can do both really well, which is awesome. But to start things off for this set, we're going to be giving Tyrantrum an Impish Nature to increase its defense but lower its special attack. And for the ability, we can go with either, but again, it's another set that is intended to be used with Rock Head, but as of right now, we have to go with Strong Jaw, so that is just something to keep in mind. But as far as the EVs are concerned, we're going to be maxing our HP on this set with 252 EVs into that, and then almost maxing our physical defense with 216 EVs into that, and put the remainder 40 EVs into its speed to allow Tyrantrum to outspeed Pokemon of base 75 speed, and then go with the leftovers item to allow Tyrantrum to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But for the moves, the first one we're going to be going with is going to be Stealth Rock, which is obviously the best move in the game, as it lays down entry hazards that will obviously hurt your opponents every single time they enter battle, which is obviously very important, especially for a defensive Pokemon, and it's really fantastic that this Pokemon is able to learn it, as it is one of the few that have access to Stealth Rock in 6th Gen currently. But as for your main Rock-type move on this set, we're going to be going with either Head Smash or Stone Edge. Obviously, Head Smash is meant to be used with Rock Head. You can still go with it for Strong Jaw, but keep in mind this is a more defensive set, so having recoil really isn't the most ideal thing. But obviously, Stone Edge is a great alternative as well. And then for your next attacking move, we're going to be going with either Earthquake or Dragon Claw, depending on really the last move that you go with. Earthquake obviously gives you more type coverage along with your last move, which could either be Dragon Tail or Roar. But Dragon Tail is obviously the stronger option. You aren't having negative priority like Dragon Tail has, and you still get the phasing capabilities if you go with a Roar. However, you could also even go with Dragon Tail and Dragon Claw if you really wanted to, but I'd prefer If you go with Dragon Tail, you go with Roar because you can obviously roar through substitutes, whereas Dragon Tail cannot do that. So that is just something to keep in mind overall. But this set, while giving you some really fantastic type coverage and the ability to phase opponents, also functions very well as a physical wall for your team, and with its really cool typing, allows you to resist plenty of different types of attacks, which is really awesome. But anyways, that is it for this video, everybody. So I wanted to thank you all for watching. Feel free to follow me on my Twitch channel and my Twitter, as well as bookmark the link below that has all of the sets in this video, as well as every other set in the analysis series. That will obviously be a really good database for you to all have in reference to all the different 6th Gen Pokemon and give you a good idea on how to use them. And then lastly, obviously feel free to join the Zat at zat.com/pokegrounds, where you can talk about various Pokemon related things and trade and battle with a bunch of other people on the chat room. But anyways, that is for this video, everybody. So as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.